So we'll read from our Īśopaniṣad further. Yeah, so one always see all living entities as spiritual sparks. In quality, one with the Lord becomes a true knower of things. What is there as illusion or anxiety for him? Yeah, so we're continuing on the description of the Īśopaniṣad, which is talking about the vision of the Mahatma, of the pure soul. Would you like to read on the purport?
Yes. Except for the two more advanced devotees described above, no one can correctly see the spiritual position of a living being. The living entities are qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord, as the sparks of the fire are qualitatively one with the nature of the fire. But sparks are not fire as far as quantity is concerned. The quantity of heat and light present in the fire is not equal to the quantity of heat and light in the sparks. The Bhagavata, the great devotee, sees oneness in the sense that everything is the energy of the Supreme Lord. And as there is no difference between the energy of the energetic, the sense of oneness. Without heat and light, there is no meaning of fire. And yet heat and light from the analytical point of view are different from fire. But in synthesis, heat, light and fire are all the same one thing. The Sanskrit words found here, ekatvam anupashyatah, mean to see the unity of the living entities from the viewpoint of the revealed scriptures. Every individual spark of the Supreme Whole has almost 80% of the known qualities of the whole, but they are not as good as the Supreme Lord. These qualities are present in minute quantity, as a living entity is but a minute part and parcel of the Supreme Whole. This is like the drop of water and the ocean. The quantity of salt present in the drop is never comparable to the quantity of salt present in the complete ocean, but the quality of the salt present in the drop is equal to the quality in chemical composition with that present in the ocean.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So this will be one of our main meditations for this verse. The sentence here called ekatvam anupashyatah. Yeah, to see the unity or oneness with everything. That's the main thread of this verse. And the quality of something minute could be the same as the quality of the huge. So also the sense of the fire here, and then the quality of the fire in just a small spark of the fire. This all makes sense. Of course, it's said also that we are infinitesimally small as living entities, so we don't really even have we're just small sparks of the Lord. We're not comparable, in any way. But the same nature we do have, just like the nature of sun is the fiery light, and that also we have. But of course, as the Lord, He's the Lord of His three energies. He's the Lord of the material energy. He's the Lord of the spiritual energy. He's the Lord of the marginal energy, which are us, His jivas. So we are not having those qualities. Those qualities we don't have. So in that way, it's not fully on the same level. Even though sometimes we say we are the same in quality, but actually we're not really. But in the nature we are the same. There's a difference, right? To be same in nature and same in quality. In quantity, we of course know we are not the same. We are very, very minute, while the Lord is the big one. He's the whole, we are the small parts. However, we are having the same nature of spiritual nature. That is given. Okay, let's take the next page. Let's see here. if the individual living being... yeah, Christopher is there. Sound is good on YouTube. Very good. Thank you. I'll just look in the chat. So, Tushar is there. Tushar, would you like to read something?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I can read. Where was we?
We are now on the top of the page. If the individual living being.
Okay. Yes. If the individual living being were equal both in quality and quantity, then there would be no question of the living entities being submerged by the influence of material energy. It has already been discussed in previous mantras that no living being, even the powerful demigods, can suppress the Supreme Being in any respect. Therefore, ekatvam does not mean that the living being is equal in all respects with the Supreme Lord. It means, in a broader sense, that there is one interest, just as in a family the interests of all the members is one. In a nation, although different individual citizens are there, the national interest is one. Therefore, the living entities being parts and parcels of the same supreme family, the interests of the Supreme Being and that of the parts and parcels is not different. Every living being is the son of the Supreme Being, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita. All living creatures, including birds, reptiles, ants, aquatics, trees, and so on, all over the universe, all are emanations from the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, and therefore all of them belong to the same family of the Supreme Being. There's no clash of interest in spiritual life.
Very good.
Should I continue, Prabhuji?
Let's see if we can discuss a little bit. Thank you. Yeah. So here we saw, the family. So this is very easy to understand the example, I guess. And that is, you have the oneness. If you have the oneness, you can say there will be a natural oneness. That family members, they are all, they're on the same page. They're working for each other. They have the same goal. However, if just imagine if each of the family members would work only for their own private, respective goals. They would not work for the common interest. Would it be any kind of oneness? Would the feeling of oneness be there? Yes or no?
No, all of them should work for a common goal, otherwise a feeling of oneness is not there.
Exactly. So in the same way, in this material world, we may not feel that oneness so much. Sometimes we feel oneness, when we come together for a common goal. I'll take the gross example first. That you have, everybody comes to the football match. Say we have a football match for Norway. So then everybody who's in supporting the football match, the players, everybody, they feel oneness at that time when they are playing the game. Yeah? Because they all work for the same goal. Everybody is cheering for the same goal. So Norway as a team would be all the people watching, all the people playing. But then after the match is over, then everybody is going to the respective things again, and the oneness is lost. So that's why oneness in the material world is always very temporary. And even we can feel oneness, in this life with our family and so on. But that also may, change with time. Sometimes families are breaking up. Or at least in the next life, we will feel, we'll have to find a new oneness. So in other words, we kind of, reconstruct the oneness and we lose it again. However, the oneness we're talking about spiritually, that is stable. And it's not to be, created or destroyed. Does it make sense? That's the oneness we have with God. Yep. Or any comments or things to say about that? Yeah, everybody agree. Very good. So in that way, we have, one of the ideas we are asked to train up, actually it is to do about the purification of the heart, is to refine our identity, to not only identify with each other on the bodily platform. That is all well and good. We can, and we should feel, oneness with our family, even with our nation. We are cooperating with, our family, cooperating with our society, with our nation. But now we can take it even further and higher. And we can cooperate, with all the living entities, at least humanity, for serving God. And that would be even, without discriminating, even, between different religions even. Because on the spiritual level, we are actually all God's people. Does it make sense? Here probably even mentions, the animals even. There is no clash of interest in spiritual life. It is mentioned even that chanting the holy name, that even is a service to the insects and the plants. If you chant outside, they also are getting benefit from hearing the whole name of Krishna. So what to speak of ourselves and other human beings? If it is done, with the mood of oneness, in that sense, that we're not doing this only for ourselves. We're doing this for the common interest of all living entities. Otherwise, there is no meaning to spiritual life or spiritual practice or anything like this. Spiritual really means that to see beyond all the outer coverings. So Prabhupada, he continues here, he says, the spiritual entities are meant for enjoyment. By nature, by constitution, every living being, both the Supreme Lord and each different part and portion, is meant for enjoyment eternally. The living beings who are encaged in the material tabernacle are also seeking enjoyment always, but they are seeking their enjoyment on a platform which is not meant for them. Aside from this material world, there is the spiritual platform where the Supreme Being is enjoying with his innumerable associates without any trace of material qualities. That platform is called Nirguna. On the Nirguna platform, there is no clash of enjoyment. Here in the material world, there is always a clash between different individual beings, because here the center of enjoyment is missed. So what is the center of enjoyment? Prabhupada says, the center of enjoyment is the Supreme Lord, who is the center of the sublime and spiritual rasa dance. We are all meant for joining him and for enjoying life with one transcendental interest and without any clash. That is the high platform of spiritual interest, and as soon as such a perfect form of oneness is realized, there can be no question of illusion or lamentation. So rasa dance, that is really the highest level. So that is interesting that Prabhupada is mentioning. It is said that Krishna, he is facilitating the rasa dance for all his devotees individually. That means that Krishna is expanding himself into one person for each dancing partner, which is, the jiva. If we take this as a concept, the Lord is dancing with each one of us individually. He has that capacity. We may not have unlimited capacity in dealing with other living entities. We may be able to deal with a certain number. Some have bigger capacity maybe, some are less. But we cannot really satisfy all the living entities. Krishna, he can do that. Yeah, so it's said about the spiritual world that there is no Nayatra Shoka Namoha. This is said in the Bhagavad Gita. There is no Shoka, no lamentation, and also no illusion there. And that is because we are taken care of by Krishna, who is a very suitable person to take care of us. Not only is it giving us a platform of eternal existence, hence there will be no lamentation of temporary matters, because we are in the perfect spiritual world, there will be no lamentation of things that are not working or breaking. Hence, Brahma Samhita is describing the spiritual world as a place where every step is a dance, every talk is like a song, and so on. It's paradise in the right sense of the term. No clash of enjoyment is there because everybody is getting enough resources. In the spiritual, in the material world, why is there war? Very often there is war because of differences. Maybe that's the only reason, actually. Because of difference, there is a war. Because of bheda, yeah, it's a difference. It's difference between me and another person. It's difference between one nation and another. Very often there is a fight for resources, for land, and so on. And that is all, a concept of duality, that somebody else has something that we don't have, we have something that somebody else don't have. And in that way there is a clash of interest. In the spiritual world, everybody has enough. They're fully equipped. Everybody has enough on their plate to eat. Everybody has enough of all the opulences. Shad Aishvarya Purna, Krishna is full in 6 opulences. And similarly, the living entity also have opulences. Enough that, there is no need of anything more. Actually, it's said that there is an unlimited supply of all the opulences.
But why if some people are starving on this planet and...
Yeah, so back to this planet, we don't have any, equality here. Some people have more opulence, some have less. Some are starving, some are feeling the belly so much they have to take operation to get rid of, too much fat, right? So why is this? Well, that is because of karma. That's the explanation given in the Shastra. Somebody is hungry, it's because of bad karma. Yeah. Somebody has ample food to eat, it's because of the good karma. So it has to do, with previous actions. Karma has to do with previous actions. And in that way, it's not lasting forever also. Sometimes we may even feel hungry. Even you can say maybe our economy is okay. But we may be put into a situation where we don't have any other choice than to feel hungry for some time. So that is also then our bad karma. Then we have, what is called a moment of bad karma. Often when we experience bad karma, we experience also that we can't really escape it. We just have to endure it, right? So that endurance of the bad karma is burning up the bad karma. If we protest very much, or, some or other try to get out of the situation, it may not actually work. It usually doesn't work. If we endure it, we will get rid of it. Same thing with enjoyment. When we endure the enjoyment, we don't complain also that we may have good karma. Then the good karma is also burning up. So devotees are supposed to focus on the eternal activities of serving Krishna. That is called akarma. That's also said in Bhagavad Gita. And that will be transcendental to being hungry or to be full. In any case, one can consider oneself a servant of Krishna and prepare for, the spiritual residence. So what do you think about that?
Sounds good.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So you like to read on further, Meena, because you have a very clear and nice voice. That's why it's nice you're reading.
Okay, Prabhuji. The spiritual entities are meant for enjoyment by nature, but by
we were reading that one. Next one.
Oh, sorry. Maya or illusion means a godless civilization, the result of which is lamentation. The godless civilization sponsored by the modern politicians is always full of anxieties, and that is a law of nature. No one can surpass this law, as is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Only those who surrender at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord can overcome the stringent laws of nature. If, therefore, we wish to get rid of all sorts of illusion and anxiety and create unity of all diverse interests, we must bring God into all our activities.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's just dwell on that for a moment. So here, Maya is described, as what actually gives us the godless civilization. Maya is actually, it is a whole energy. It's called the Maya Shakti. Or actually, the whole external energy is also sometimes called Maya. So in that way, it is running under the mode of time, and that's why it has the destructive power. You can say in the beginning of Maya's arrangement in Satya Yuga, then it was quite godly, yeah, and then gradually, and then Treta Yuga is coming less godly, Dvapara Yuga even less godly, and in Kali Yuga it's really becoming godless. So this is a result of time which is ticking under Maya's arrangement. So in the spiritual world, there is no time ticking, hence there is not a godless civilization there. Because the effect of time, unfortunately, material time, it has the destructive effect. However, in the spiritual world, there is also said to be time, but that's working in a chronological fashion. One has enough time to do what everyone likes to do, but still there is one thing that comes after another thing, and the next thing is coming after the next thing. There is a chronology sense. Yeah. Okay, so there is no lamentation because everybody has enough time on their hands in the spiritual world. Here we don't. I think at least all of us can agree about that we really feel very often that we don't have enough time. Is it correct?
No, I think when we plan the day badly, then we don't have enough time.
Exactly.
We waste so much of time.
Exactly. Actually, you're completely correct. If we actually would plan the day very nicely, then we would have plenty of time. And that means the mode of goodness. However, in the mode of passion and ignorance, there is a feeling that we don't have enough time. Yeah. So let's read on. I'll read on. The results of our activities must be used to serve the interest of the Lord and not for any other purpose, because only by serving the interest of the Lord can we feel the Atma Bhuta interest mentioned here in Śrī Īśopaniṣad. Was it mentioned, Atma Bhuta? Should I go rewind and just see there in the verse?
No, I don't think Atma Bhuta is mentioned.
So where did Prabhupada take this concept from? Yeah, it's not mentioned there. I'll just see if I can make any sense of that. Because it's talking about the Brahma Bhuta interest. Yeah. He's speaking about the interest. Let's see. Just to get this. Let's see, go a little back and I'll see. Let's see text.
Is Atma Bhuta interest of the soul and Brahma Bhuta is like interest of the spiritual world?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So okay. So this and the Brahma Bhuta interest mentioned in the Bhagavatam are one and the same thing. Okay. So Prabhupada makes this term to be the same. In Bhagavatam it's mentioned Brahma Bhuta Prashanatma na sochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhutashu mat bhaktim labate param. So Brahma Bhuta Prashanatma. So when one has come to that Brahma Bhuta platform, so in that way you can say Bhuta means the platform. So it's the interest for us. We are Atma, we are soul. And we want to come to the real platform of the soul, which of course is then the union with the Lord in loving service. Yeah. And that's the same mentioned in the Bhagavad-gita. Na sorchati na kankshati. When we are on that platform, there will be no more lamentation. And that's exactly similar, like we heard here. Yatra na shoka, yeah, wasn't it mentioned? Tatra kumo kar shoka. So it's like therein there is no shoka and no moha, no illusion. And exactly the same thing is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Na sochati, na kankshati. So kankshati is, struggling hard or hankering after something which we don't have. So that's also part of the illusion. In the spiritual world, there is no hankering. Why? Because we have everything we need. We have enough food, we have enough, air to breathe, we have enough to drink, we have enough relationships, we have enough money, and we have Krishna. So there is actually no need to have anything more. That's the real interest of the Atma, to come to this perfect situation. And of course there will also then be peace, Shanta. Yeah. So Prabhupada says...
I don't know, Prabhuji, but this is confusing because Krishna is so mystical that you never get Krishna, You're always separated from him. That is why.
So that's one of the natures.
Yeah,
that's one of the natures of the loving affairs. Actually, it said that this complete feeling of oneness that may only be in the Shanta rasa, the first of the 5 rasas, and then the living entity is thriving in that Shanta. But high level is to have Dasa rasa, to serve the Lord, and immediately when we serve the Lord, there's a difference between us and the Lord. And in that way, there is separation actually, because Bhagavan realization is on the platform of rasa. You can say on the Paramatma realization of the yogi, there will not be feeling of separation because the Lord is always there in our heart and He is in every atom, right? So there is no feeling of separation. On the Bhagavan platform, however, it is, because we are serving the Lord as a servant, and there is the master, which is the Lord. So there is a duality there. By serving the Lord, we will feel more and more oneness with the Lord. There will be a oneness of spiritual, interest, but still there will be a sense of duality. So that's why it's called Beda, Abeda Tattva. It's both different and non-different at the same time. Because there also is some sense of difference there. There will also be some sense of longing after having the company of the Lord. So there will be the switching in between Vipralamba, which is separation, and Sambhoga, which is the union. So this is demonstrated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was feeling very much separation from the Lord. So it said that Krishna incarnated as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give the highest platform of a devotional spontaneous service in the mood of separation. So he is having a feeling of very much longing to again come together with the Lord. And when he comes together with the Lord, then he feeling Sambhoga, he feeling a lot of bliss. And then again, the Lord is leaving or he is leaving. Somehow or other is again the separation. Yeah. But this is actually said to be strengthening the bhava, or strengthening the loving feelings between the Lord and the soul. So it's actually conducive for creating more love, to increase, the prema, so to speak. And that was demonstrated then by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that his prema was becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. It said there is also levels of the prema in terms of, the development also. So in that way, if one was just feeling oneness and peacefulness, that is a good platform, and it's a spiritual platform, but it may not actually be the highest. Some living entities, they may choose to be on that platform, though. They're allowed to be there. Especially in our Hare Krishna movement, there is a focus on the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, which was service in separation. Yeah. So in that way, one actually will feel that Krishna may be very far away, and one wants to come closer to Krishna. But that sense is said to not actually be a sense of, material, anxiety or material hate, material desire. It's not a material emotion, it's a spiritual emotion, and that's why it said it is very, auspicious. It's auspicious for ourselves and it's auspicious for others. Does it make sense?
Yeah, nowadays, Prabhuji, I'm having a strong question in my mind, like, why did God create souls at the first place, Why
Yeah.
was this entire thing created?
Yeah, it's described in the Upanishads that he had the desire to become many. Yeah, he had the desire.
Okay.
He had the karma. He had the desire to become many. So that's why Ekabhau Sham. So that's why he became from one to many. That was his sweet desire, and we can see a reflection of that in our own psychology. That we also try best when we are together with others. Is it correct? So in the same way,
Yeah.
the Lord is a social being. But then again, as we can understand, this is not actually a creation. It's mentioned in the Bhagavatam, chapter 13, text 20, that the jivas, the Lord separated, parts. And the Lord himself and the material nature have always existed. There is never a time when they were created. However, in the material world, there is a lila going on of repeated creation and destruction, and that is called the Srishti Lila. So we are seemingly created and again destroyed, and that's the illusion. But that also, can be used in the pastimes of the Lord, because he also comes here in the material world to have his pastimes. And then the devotees are seemingly taking birth in devotional families and joining up with the pastimes of the Lord in various capacities. And forgetfulness is also given to the living entity, so that he forgets about his previous life. So that forgetfulness is also used in the service of the Lord, in his lila here in the material world. So in that way, everything can be used in the Lord's service. Yeah, so our existence is there to serve the Lord. And the Lord is giving us, also the independent existence in a very, very minute sense. So in that way, we may feel lost here in the material world without the Lord also. You're satisfied with the answer? Yeah?
Why we don't know that from the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can say, is the Lord unfair? But in one sense, many philosophers in the past and at present, probably in the future also, they will feel some sort of remorse, in regards to the Lord. Why didn't I know this before? Why this? Why that? Well, the only answer we can have is it's the Lord's will that is happening here in the material world. It's the Lord's will, right? At least that we can be sure. It's His will that this is happening, and He also says that in the scriptures. It's His arrangement that this repeated creation and destruction is going on. It's His will that we are here under the material energy, or conversely that we may be under the spiritual energy. If we are going in that direction, we will also get there. So He loves us. It's clear. He is giving us the opportunity to go to a peaceful, happy spiritual existence.
So more or less this Maya illusion never going to be end, just if Krishna wants, because not
that's true.
Going
This
to be
Maya is always existing. Yeah, because the three energies of the Lord are always existing. They were never created. So in that way, they are always there. We don't really have much power in that sense. However, we can also feel the love of God. Is it not that we also can feel His love in our personal life? But however, when we try to think, when we try to use our intelligence, we may not understand much. Why is this? Why is that? There is one recommendation given then, that we should try to do as we do now. We discuss with other devotees. We may have questions and answers, or try then also to study the books. Especially it said that the books are giving all the answers if they're studied properly under the guidance of the Guru. The books will actually give you all the answers. And on top of that, there will be a revelation in the heart also from the Lord. Individually in everyone's heart, He will give, Buddha Yoga, as it's explained in the Bhagavatam. So if we don't have the answer now in our mind, we may want to keep on practicing, and hopefully the Lord will be merciful with us and give us the answer. After all, it's not a very cheap, answer, right? This is the question everybody's asking, isn't it? So the Lord is putting a price on that to get that answer, answered. To get that question answered, He's putting a price. And what is that price? It is, the Sharanagati, the surrender of the soul to Him, fully trusting Him in all circumstances, becoming fully dedicated to Him. Then He will give you, the answer. Okay, so where did we end up reading? Maybe you can read Mikaela Mataji. I hear your voice is back now.
Yeah, it's back. The results, I think, was here.
Yeah, you can read that.
The results of our activities must be used to serve the interest of the Lord and not for any other purpose, because only by serving the interest of the Lord can we feel the Atma Bhuta, interest mentioned here in Śrī Īśopaniṣad. This and the Brahma Bhuta, interest mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, are one and the same thing. The Supreme Atman or soul is the Lord Himself, and the minute Atman is the living entity. The Supreme Atman or Paramatman alone maintains all the individual minute beings, because the Supreme Lord wants to derive, I don't know this word, pleasure out of their affection. The Father extends Himself by His children and maintains them in order to derive pleasure. If the children of the Father are obedient to His will, family's affairs will run smoothly with one interest and a pleasing atmosphere. Exactly the same thing is transcendentally arranged in the Brahma, or absolute family of the Param Brahma, the Supreme Spirit.
Okay, continue. Wonderful, thank you. Let's see, should we use a minute or two to digest this?
Yes.
Let's see, what did you read here? Okay, so you have the example of the father. He is extending himself by his children. So there is a concept there that the father, he is actually living on in his children. Yeah. And then that gives the father happiness to have children. It's obvious. If the children or the father are obedient, so that's the thing. So if we are obedient to God, then probably our life will or at least our relationship with the Lord will be smooth. I'm saying it like that because sometimes it's a well-known fact that the Lord may test our faith in Him. Very often you have that situation actually, that people who are becoming very, you can say, godly, they didn't have a smooth life, right? They had anything else but a smooth life, isn't it?
Yeah, come a lot of problems normally.
I have a question, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Every day I think, my whole life is in God's hand now. I surrender. Then again a question comes, if I don't do myself something, then how will God help me? Then I get confused as to what should be done actually.
Yeah, so just keep on practicing devotional service and associate with, devotees. It will be more and more clear. I mean, you can also ask questions to somebody you trust. if you have, you know, but the question, it would help if the question is as specific as possible. Yeah. If you ask general questions, you will get general answers, right? So, you know, the general answer to what we should do is that, you know, we should chant the whole name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is a general answer, you know, to that question. What should we do? Because that's the Yuga Dharma. Like Dharma can be so complicated. You know, what should I do? Svadharma. I have, you know, this kind of education. I have this nature and this and that. If you don't really, you know, have any specific, you know, question like, you know, what should I do in this situation, that, or just general, then chanting the whole name is really the standard answer. Then, you know, we are pleasing the Lord, we are pleasing ourselves, because this is a platform of transcendence. Saying the name of the Lord, then you have association with the Lord. It boils down to actually having association with God, with Krishna. To reunite as a family, yeah. It's like you could ask, you know, the father. Say the father has been separated from his child for so many years. The father will get a report back. Okay, the child is okay. The child is having now a job. You know, it's all fine. The father is pleased. But what will please the father most? We're just giving like a, you know, general example. It will please the father most if some or other he can again meet his child, right? Simply to meet. Nothing more. Not money, not, you know, this or that. Just simply to have the meeting. And it's because the father has a natural interest in the child, because the father created the child, right? And even more so, the father created the child for his enjoyment. You're just, you know, kind of making it very, like, you know, gross. But it makes, you know, the point. So in the same way, God created us for his enjoyment, so he wants to see us, right? He simply wants to see us. And of course, he also likes that we are having a life. We're getting our education, we're getting our job. So all these things are also there. But at the moment, you know, we don't really know, we're not sure. Then the Lord says, just come back home. Yep. Just you know, just visit me. Yep. Let's have a chat. Something like that.
It's a little funny like that, the way you say.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it a little bit, you know, entertaining. But it's true, no? If we are all up in arms, we don't really know what to do. Sometimes it is like that. What should we do? Then we should just chant the whole name of the Lord. We should pray to the Lord, right? And then we may get, you know, help. It really is like that. Usually, you know, we know what to do more or less. You know, we do our daily job, whatever job we have, we do our studies, or, you know, we all have duties in our day-to-day life. Isn't it so? But then we include also, you know, we're calling our father on the phone, or our mother, every day. So in the same way, we're chanting every day the whole name of the Lord. That's the same that we pick up the phone and say, hi, I love you, you know, say to your mother or father, right? Just keeping in touch, yeah? Does it make sense?
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So in the same way, Krishna is also keeping in touch with us. It's not that it's one-sided. We only send him messages. No, he is also, you know, in the course of our day, we may feel that he's giving us, you know, some messages, or knocking on our door to tell us something, or giving, you know. It could be, you know, could be negative, you know, feedback also, you know, both good and negative feedback, or just association, you know, just like that. And it's happening through other people also. Even the Bible, you know, had a lot of that, you know, somebody is coming on the door of one of the devotees in the Bible, and that person is viewed as a messenger of God, right? They think now God is coming to me through that person. There is some stories like that, you know, in other religions. God is coming to one through another person. So in that way, we also, it would help us also if you think like that this is actually God himself now coming to me through that person. Yep. Or even through, you know, an event, through something happening. That's God himself now, you know. Like you have in the Bible, you have a burning bush, right? And the God is talking out of the burning bush. Isn't it so? Yeah, so in that way one can be Krishna conscious. That's what it means, yeah? To be conscious of his presence. Okay, so we read on. Last paragraph here on this page. The Param Brahman is as much a person as the individual entities are. None of them are impersonal. Such transcendental personalities are full of transcendental bliss, knowledge, and life eternal. That is the real position of spiritual existence. And as soon as one is fully cognizant of this transcendental position, he at once surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Being, Sri Krishna. But such Mahatmas, great souls, are very rarely seen, because such transcendental realization is achieved only after many, many births. Once attained, however, there is no more illusion or distress, no more of the misery of material existence, and there is no birth and death, as we experience in the present status of our life. That is the information we get from this mantra of Śrī Īśopaniṣad. Yeah. So, any further comments to this?
No, Prabhuji, but only thing is like when a child doesn't want to take the normal road, like Keshav Prabhuji says, then why do the parents get distressed? Oh, he's going into spirituality, or he's going, and then the whole drama starts. And when it is the best path, why it is not acceptable in this society? I mean, why should everyone take the same way of life and get birth again?
Yeah, so I my answer to that is it's karma. Everything bad, or unpleasant that happens to us is because of something, from the past. Yep. So it's burned up. If we tolerate, then it's burned up. So we should never, blame our parents. Why you don't like what I do. No, we should just think, they may have some bad experience about, our personality or something like that. In that way, we may feel like we want to rectify now by being very, very tolerant, very, very nice. Even people attacking us, we should just be friendly in return, actually. We should always wish other people well. And in that way, we can, make friends, actually. Rather than thinking, oh, this person is my enemy. Or anything like that. No, we don't need to think like that. We are still, free to do whatever religion we choose to do. It's not that somebody can physically stop us, at least not usually like that. So in that way, we should just continue, practice. And I have many stories like that I heard from other devotees. In the beginning, the parents were so much against, because also there's natural worry from the parents. They're worried, what their children are getting into. But after a few years, after many years, sometimes after 10 years, maybe after 20 years even, then the parents, they are very much having a good relationship with their sons or daughters who entered this path of Krishna consciousness. It's dependent on how we behave, also. If we behave properly, then people will like us. We're not talking only about parents, but everybody.
Yeah.
Things are coming in two ways. One is the message, and the other thing is the package, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's always two things: message and package. So message is usually quite good. we agree about that. The message here is very wonderful, but how we package it, that's according to how we behave, and that's where often the problem is coming in. Because we may have our behavior may not always be may not actually even be correct, right? And if our behavior is not correct, then the delivery or whatever philosophy or impression we want to give, it may not actually be very savory. It may be quite it may land on a sour note in the ears of our listeners, right? And so then no matter what we said, actually the impression was negative. So that's why it takes that our maturity as devotees, that will have a lot to say, how people actually digest what we are trying to give. So in that way, we may always, try to take some inventory. If people don't like us, or people, are complaining, we may always think, okay, there is something here maybe in me, that I should work with. At least, devotees try to be thinking like that, because any opportunity, actually, you can say this is actually an opportunity for spiritual advancement. Yeah. This is an opportunity for spiritual advancement. Otherwise, if you only think, people are attacking, or like people are negative, then we think, oh, why me? We feel like, we feel, that we feel like victim. Yeah. So this thing is important, that we should never feel like victim. Yeah. To be strong spiritually, we should never take the role of victim. Does it make sense?
Yeah, actually, I was discussing with someone like why the stress is not given on spiritual strength, because if you have that spiritual strength, then you can face any adversity in life.
Yes.
But it's the opposite. We face adversity in life, and then we get the spiritual strength.
Exactly. You get strength from hardships, and this is very easily understood from take the example of training, right? Say you're training strength training, yeah. So you have to take big weights, and then you have to increase the weights, and it's hardship. You struggle, but by that struggle you will become stronger. So that's exactly what happens in the spiritual life. That by struggling, we are becoming stronger, and that struggle, it means it means actually it's unpleasant. Let's just call it for what it is. Unpleasant things. Yep. We're going through it, and we become stronger after that. So just like
nobody can get that spiritual strength without facing adversities. Do you mean to say that?
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean to say. We don't seek the adversities. That's clear. We don't seek them. However, we also don't avoid them when they come. We should take them with a raised neck. Yeah. We should if
I look at my past now, then if I had spiritual strength, I would have reacted in a different way.
Exactly.
So why is the spiritual strength is not given so much of importance, like in education or from family?
Yeah, but that's because modern education is not spiritual education; it is material education. Now, I will go as far as to say this: it's nothing wrong with that. You need material education, right? We have, our computers, we have, our buildings. Somebody has to be properly educated to make nice buildings, to make nice computers, to make nice software, to make nice roads, to, do the business so we get, food. All this needs to be there. And if we want to have spiritual life, there is ample education available, right? Now, in the day of internet, there is so much, different spiritual paths. And books are produced all the time, and teachers are everywhere. So there is actually no problem. We have tons of education readily available at our hands.
Yeah, but if you tell someone, spiritual strength is very important, they say, oh, this is nonsense.
No. They don't say. It depends on who you're speaking with. If you speak with a person who is not into that, I agree. Then they will say it's nonsense. I agree. But if you speak with somebody who is into, spiritual life, they will say yes. Like I talk to so many people who may, seem to be, just doing, some kind of material job or something. And they agree, yeah, spiritual strength is good. Actually, for me, it's rare actually to speak with anybody, whoever I meet, who doesn't actually agree that, spiritual strength is a good thing.
Yeah, but it's our duty to educate those people who do not think it's important.
Well, it's okay. We should, share what we have. But I will give a little bit of, small note to that, and that is, one cannot speak to deaf ears, because, it's not everybody who's ready to hear. They're preoccupied with something else in their life, right? So it's said, if people are seemingly very, very negative or not really ready, they may not be the recipient of such, instructions. They may feel even offended if you talk like that. However, there are all time, place, and circumstance. It's said it's also a great mercy of a devotee if the devotee is helping another person. So if you do something out of compassion, that's another thing. if we really care about the other person, then we can give spiritual instruction, and they will also feel for hearing it, if they feel the loving mood is there. So that's a different thing. Well, it's up to us, and it's up to the Lord also what is going to happen. It said Guru Krishna Prasada Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. It's up to the Guru and up to the just so that we are aware of this. Whenever we instruct somebody, we are taking the role of Guru. Are we aware of that? And that means that how much importance we're going to play in the life of another person. That's up to how much spiritual strength we have, right? If you take the role of an instructor or a guru, a teacher, then how much educated are we ourselves? One thing is the education, and another thing is the realization of what we're actually talking about.
Yeah.
So we sometimes need to reassess ourselves also before we speak to others. Especially people who didn't ask to be instructed. I mean, you can say, if people come to the classroom and they want to learn, they enroll, in a course, they enrolled for a study session, then, the teacher can fire off, all his knowledge. There is no problem. They are sitting there, they want to learn, and he wants to teach. The relationship is proper. It's called Sambandha Jnana. There it works. However, if one wants to teach, somebody who may not even know very well, and the person is not really, taking the position of a student, this is not, the kshetra or place for education, actually. The person, is not ready to hear, and I just want to speak. This is not actually, okay, but still there's a difference. It said that the parent can teach the child even though the child doesn't want to hear, right? Because the relationship is there, that the parent is the parent of the child. There's a loving relationship, and thus the parent has the right to speak to the child, to his or her own child. And even the child doesn't want to listen, the child also has a right to listen, because it's a duty of the child to learn from the mother and father. So that's okay. So we can see, we have to assess, if that relationship can be established with another person, some kind of, Vatsalya rasa is there then. A feeling of compassion from us, because the parent always has compassion to the child, and feeling a sense of duty. So if we have that kind of compassion to somebody junior to ourselves, and we want to speak to them, some words of wisdom, spiritual, wisdom, then the compassion is established, and they also take the role of being a student, or that they kind of agree that they need to learn something. Then, education can take place. Shastra is saying like this. There are some qualifications for education to actually take place. So we may consider that also. Yeah, thank you. So I just wanted to see here, to give us, some of the points that we have made now in the, let's see, in this mantra 7. Yeah. So I will go through each of the paragraphs, so we can just see what we learned today from this. So the first paragraph, it talked about oneness. Let's see if we go to the first paragraph here. Yeah. It talked about the oneness between energy and energetic. Yeah. Let's see if I go here. Yeah. Oneness between the energy and the energetic. The next paragraph, what was that talking about? Let's see. It was talking about the oneness in quality, not in quantity. So that was the example of the ocean and the drop in the ocean. Was it so? Yeah. So it's the same quality, but it's definitely not a quantity. And then we have another kind of oneness again, right? And that was the oneness of the family unit. That we may feel the oneness. That's the paragraph 3. And then let's see the next. So you just give me a second.
Enjoyment, like
Yeah. Enjoyment.
Spiritual enjoyment.
Yeah. Oneness in interest brings enjoyment. Yeah. That then we can enjoy when we have the oneness of the interest. For example, if you want to play tennis with somebody, both of you want to play tennis, then you will enjoy playing tennis, right? But if you want to play tennis and another person wants to play football, there is no oneness in interest, and you will not enjoy being together.
Yeah.
So that's how people are choosing friends. They choose friends, who wants to do the same thing as they want to do themselves, right? So the oneness in interest is very important. And then the fourth paragraph, it was that separate interests, they then cause shoka and moha. Then, we are bewildered. We don't, language is also there, If somebody has very different interests than ourselves, we cannot really communicate even, right? We don't understand each other. We are bewildered, what the other person is saying. We can't understand what kind of planet the other person is living on, right? So that's why it's so important for relationships that we find people who are our same nature. So that's said, it's the basic of the friendship. One should find somebody who is similar to ourselves. Of course, we want to be friendly with anybody, that we are. But to have, friendly exchanges, we need to find somebody who is similar to ourselves. Does it make sense?
Yeah, in the beginning, everyone is similar, but after some years, they go on different paths.
Yeah, this is the nature of the world. But I will contradict that also by saying that very often in relationship, say for example, husband gets married to the wife, and they it's like a psychological fact. They start looking like each other, right? After many years, they are starting to mirror each other. They become mirrors of each other. So they are actually become more similar. So it's said like that also, that one may not be so similar in the beginning, but if one actually have good intention and wants to be friendly, one can actually become quite similar. And also, of course, the opposite thing can also happen, that one may drift away from each other. So anyway, we are trying to, become similar in interest with the Lord, right? That's what we try to do in the Bhakti Yoga. I hope that is clear. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see.
Prabhuji, can you elaborate on the illusion part? Because,
let's see. Illusion, yeah.
Lamentation.
Okay, now it was two things at the same time. Let's see. What was the first one? Illusion, and then Michaela, you said lamentation.
Yeah, I was comparing illusion with lamentation.
Okay, let me take up my notebook here and see if I can write something. Let's see. Okay, so you are asking what was the question in illusion?
Yeah, when you say we and God are similar, from God's point of view, illusion is different, and we are actually entangled into that illusion. So I don't understand how do we become one with the God in that entanglement?
Yeah. So I will just try and make it as simple as possible. How to get out. Yeah, okay. So then I will just write one thing. Instruction. Yeah. So let's try and look at the analogy. So say okay, let's just use the analogy of the Matrix. This movie. I guess probably all of us have heard about that concept. If we didn't see the movie, we heard about the concept. So somebody is said they're trapped into the illusion of the Matrix. It's a computer-generated, reality. And now the person tries to get out. And how he's going to get out? He has to follow the instruction of, the man who created the illusion, right?
True.
Yeah. So how to get out? Instruction.
Okay.
Follow.
God is very smart.
Yeah. Isn't it? Yeah. Follow the guide. Yeah. who created the illusion. Yeah. Of course you will get out. And another thing, that's the only way. Right?
So you mean to say every soul which enters into this planet or illusion has only one way to get out. There is no other way.
Yeah, you have to follow the instruction of the one who created the illusion. Yeah. However, that one way may manifest into many, different instructions. According to time, place, and person. Yep. Because we have so many different times, so many different places, so many different persons. So the instructions are, varying according to that. Yep.
So you mean to say in Dwapar Yuga it was something else, in Treta it's something else, in Kali Yuga it's something else.
Exactly.
According to Karmas it's something else.
Exactly. So it's the same way, just look at your own life. For example, say you wanted to teach spiritual life to a child who is 7 years old, and you want to teach spiritual life to a person who is 70 years old. You cannot give the same instruction.
No.
Or you want to instruct somebody who is on your own age. One may say something completely different, right? But, spiritually, I wrote that the only way, that only way, that is the only way, spiritually, yeah. Because, in the spiritual world, spiritually, 1 plus 1 equals to 1. Yeah? Oneness in everything. Yeah. So you can have 1 plus 2 is also 1. Yeah. 1 minus 1. It's also 1. Everything. Yeah. So in that way, one can give the instruction from this angle, from that angle, as long as it's pure. Yeah, let's just qualify that. As long as it's pure. So the intention is pure. Then you can teach spiritual life in a specific way according to a person's conditioning. Yeah. So instead of saying according to time, place, person, I will say according to conditions. Yeah. Yeah. So what is conditions? What is conditioning? It means how we are bound up.
Yeah, is conditions not sanskaras of the soul, because in every birth we gather some sanskars.
Yeah, exactly. So how we are bound up by the gunas. What are the gunas? They're, ignorance, passion, and goodness. So for example, let's take, the example that, say somebody is very much in ignorance. Will you ask them to study the scriptures and no, they will not be able to study the scriptures because they're too much in ignorance.
Prabhuji, we are all in ignorance.
Exactly.
I tell to Mikhail,
we are all
that we are ignorant.
We are all to different degrees. Now I'm talking about one has to make an analysis. It's just like a doctor. A doctor has to make an analysis about the condition of the patient in order to give the right medicine. So in Ayurveda, you have different medicine given according to the specific state of the patient.
Yeah.
So if the person is very much conditioned by pitta, the fiery element in the body, is given a specific medicine for that. If the person has, a vata, disorder, of the air, is another medicine, completely different. If the person has a kapha disorder, of the heavy element of earth and water, then another completely different, medicine is given. So in the same way, somebody is very much, influenced by ignorance. They may not be able even to be vegetarian, right? What are we going to do? Are we just going to discard them and say you have no hopes for spiritual life? Are we going to say that? No. We say just continue eating your meat. There is no problem. Just start praying to God. Go to the church, or or do this. And somebody is very passionate. They may be able to be vegetarian, but they are very passionate. So we will not tell them to just sit still and meditate, because they cannot do that. Just like Arjuna, it's explained in Bhagavad Gita, he was very passionate. And he had the idea, this is too much, I just want to sit and meditate. And Krishna just blasted that concept. He said, anyway, if you go to the forest and meditate, you will start, behaving like a kshatriya there. I mean, this has been fleshed out by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He says that Krishna is saying to Arjuna that you will just start, protecting the animals and the sages in the forest. Because kshatriya means one who protects others, who is like a hero everywhere he is. He's not away from his weapons. If he sees somebody else is getting in trouble, he will take up his bow and arrow and try and, and help that person. It's very good. However, for a person who has a sagacious nature, who is very peaceful, very wise, the instruction is not to fight in a battlefield, right? If somebody is very peaceful and knowledgeable, and like a very sweet, calm person, the instruction is not to go and fight in the war, right? It's a completely different instruction. So in that way, there are very many different, scriptural instructions which are to be given according to different person, and also to the time and the circumstances also, and the place we are in. For example, sometimes Hare Krishna devotees, they try to go to some Arabic countries where there is not allowed even to practice Hinduism in the open, right? I was also going to one of these countries, and I was told before I went that I cannot go and chant my Japamala in the public, and I cannot go in the Hare Krishna clothes. So I just went in normal clothes, and I didn't go with Japamala in my hand, and not tilak also on my forehead. So this is adaptation, according to the different, place. Yep. So all this has to be considered. If we are going to help anybody on this planet, we have to always consider, the time we are in, the place, and the persons. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, and that is the way to get out of the illusion. That is the way. Yeah. Okay. So and then Michaela, you had a question.
No, I was just saying that I was thinking like lamentation is like illusion. That's what I was saying.
Lamentation is like the illusion, yeah. Yeah, it's true. Lamentation is also illusion. Oh, I'm sorry.
We cannot avoid it, but we know that that we are in that illusion.
Exactly.
Yeah, the more you become aware, the more you are like, I know this is illusion, but then also
yeah, it's
sometimes
true.
you feel helpless,
Yeah, it's said that lamentation can be counteracted by spiritual practice. Lamentation can be counteracted by spiritual practice, because spiritual practice will give one gift, and that is spiritual knowledge. Even though we may not study directly books or hear directly instructions, simply by practicing spiritual things, such as chanting Hare Krishna mantra, or doing seva, doing any kind of work as an offering to the Lord, the heart will be purified, and detachment will also be manifested. And especially detachment is very helpful for conquering lamentation. To understand, the illusory, situation we are in, that nothing lasts forever. Things are coming and going on their own accord, and we are not really in charge of what's happening. So if we can just understand that, something that is beyond our control, why should we lament about that?
Yes, yeah.
And also the thing about ownership, if we actually don't own it, If we just think about that, we have a philosophical mind. And we trust the scriptures when it said that actually we don't own nothing. We come here, with two naked arms, and we die again also with having nothing in our pockets. We don't own nothing. So if something is taken away from us or given to us, this has to be of the temporary nature. And in that way, there is no need to lament too much. I'm saying too much because it's a natural thing to be a human being, that we get attached to things. And it's also actually often required. Say, for example, the father and mother has to be attached to their offspring in order to take care of them. Isn't it so? So it's natural to also lament when we lose, a beloved one, or some relationships are not going nice. It's natural. But to prolong the lamentation, outside of its, you can say proper measure, that is not, advice. That will then be a feature of tamaguna or ignorance, and that means depression. Like, lamentation is okay. It's just short. It's not too long. But to continue lamentation on and on, that becomes depression, and then it's, destructive, right? So that's why one should not get into the lamentation, right? Say for example, something happens and we are like, oh, this was terrible. That's okay. That's a natural reaction. There's no need of blocking that. That's also said in Ayurveda. It's not healthy to block, emotions like that, because then it creates, poison inside oneself. Does it make sense? Just blocking. Then inside it's still going on, right? It's just not expressed outwardly. So then it's like, one is imploding and one explodes internally. That is not healthy, according to Ayurveda. That gives, mental distress. So it's okay to show on emotions sometimes, but to keep on, tasting that bad emotion like that would be, passionate activity. Too much passion creates, ignorance. That becomes destructive. So we should have some sound philosophy and think to ourselves that, okay, it was bad, it happened. How can I make it better next time? And try and also make ourselves happy. It's important that we try and keep ourselves happy. We could draw on our good relationships with others. We could, take help from others. That's also very good. So that we no longer are in this lamentable, situation. Because it's not healthy for us to be lamenting, and then also we will not be producive to others, right? What can we give others if we all the time lament, right?
Yeah.
So in that way, we should use the tools in our toolbox to not get stuck in lamentation. Yeah, lamentation is a natural, emotion. Same as fear. We can be fearful also, but to go around all the time being fearful, right? That's also tamaguna. So to have the balance there, that would be, to be spiritual, actually, to live, in a higher, level of consciousness, which is required also for becoming, conscious of Krishna's existence. Otherwise, we're just absorbed in the dualities of the material world. Bhayam dvitya abhiniveshata shat ishata petasya viparyo asmriti. And then we're forgetting the Lord. And then everything becomes viparyaya. It becomes counterproductive. And we're just absorbed in the material things. And then we have fear because of that absorption. That's what this verse from Bhagavatam is saying. Does it make sense?
Yeah, so we should remember the Lord so much that other things don't bother us in a way.
Exactly. So let's learn a little bit more about that Lord, which is, helping us. So that's mantra 8. So the mantra 8 is saying, Sapariyagat shukram akayam avranam asnaviram shuddham apapavidham kavir manasi paribhu swayambhur yata taitya tortan vyadadak chashva tibya samabhyaha. So that person, Pariyagat, must know in fact Sukram, the omnipotent, Akayam, unembodied, Avaranam, without any reproach, Asnaviram, without any veins, Shuddham, antiseptic, apapavidam, propialictic, Kavi, omniscient, Manishi, philosopher, Paribhuhu, the greatest of all, Swayambhuhu, self-sufficient, Yatha Tati Ataha, just in pursuance of, Arthan, desirables, Vyadadhat, awards, Shashvatibhya, immemorial, Samabhyaha, time. Translation: such a person must know in fact the greatest of all, who is unembodied, omniscient, beyond reproach, without veins, pure and uncontaminate, the self-sufficient philosopher who is awarding everyone's desires since time immemorial. So that is our best friend, which we have in our heart. So somebody who trusts the Lord and we walk the path of life, taking shelter in Him, we will definitely be more and more, secure. And Prabhupada mentioning in the purport, here is the description of the transcendental and eternal form of the absolute personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is not formless. He has His own transcendental form, which is not at all similar to those of the mundane world. The living entities in this world have their forms embodied by the material nature, and they work like any material machines. The physiological and anatomical structure of the body and of a living being must have a mechanical construction, with veins and so forth in the embodiment. But in the transcendental body of the Lord there is nothing like veins. It is clearly stated here that He is unembodied. That means that there is no difference between His body and soul, nor does He accept the body by the law of nature as we do. In the material concept of bodily life, the soul is different from the gross embodiment and subtle mind. The Supreme Lord...
Yeah, He is bodiless and formless and
Yeah, but wait a minute. We just learned that He is not formless also. He has a form, but it's not a form like we used in the material world. Yeah? Does it make sense? So the Upanishad is going on to speak about that he can eat. Just by seeing something he can eat. Yeah? He has His hands everywhere by which He can accept the food that we offer to Him. He has His senses everywhere. Yeah? Does it make sense? No, it doesn't make sense from the material point of view. But the point is that it's not material. So this is actually a matter of acceptance also. Do we accept the Lord's omnipotency? Yeah? That He can have His face everywhere, His eyes everywhere. In one sense we can understand, right? We can understand that God is seeing what we are doing, right?
Right.
So that means He has eyes. Is it correct? Yeah.
Yeah, but with His eyes don't mean that He is seeing like us.
Exactly.
He can eat
So
like
we can actually understand ourselves also in that way. We are not a body, that we all agree. However, we are inside the body. And it's explained our senses are subtle in nature. They're part of our subtle body. That's why it works that we can see without our gross eyes. Because when we are sleeping in the night, are we not seeing? Does everybody agree we are seeing when you are sleeping?
Yeah, because our subconscious is actually...
Yeah. So that means we're also seeing, with transcendental eyes, you can see. It's our soul who is seeing, actually, at the end of the day. So
but we don't have control over what we see when we are sleeping.
We don't have control. We don't have control. Right? That's what you said? We don't have control?
Yeah, we cannot decide what dreams we will get. Or
actually, yeah, that's the truth. But the Lord, He has control of what He wants to see or not. That's the difference. Yeah. Actually, it's said that advanced devotees, they can do every service in the mind. Isn't that wonderful?
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll give a story about that. But first I will read on. In the Brahma Samhita, there is a similar description of the body of the Supreme Lord. He is described there as the Satchidananda Vigraha, This means that he is the eternal form, fully representing transcendental existence, knowledge, and bliss. For your information, you will be asked this in the test. So better learn that one about Satchidananda Vigraha. Yeah, it's a very essential thing to know about Krishna. Yeah, because these are Krishna's three, energies, internal energies. In the Antaranga Shakti of the Lord, Krishna has his spiritual energy, Antaranga Shakti. His external energy is there, which is the illusory energy, material energy. And then we are, the Tatashta in the middle. But inside the Antaranga Shakti of the Lord, they're again divided into three. And that is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. And Vigraha means his form, his body. Yeah? Does it make sense? So that means, Prabhupada says, that he is the eternal form, fully representing transcendental existence, knowledge, and bliss. So then, Sat, it means existence, Chit means knowledge, and bliss, that means Ananda. The Vedic literature states clearly that he has a completely different kind of transcendental body, and thus he is sometimes described as formless. So formless in the sense that he doesn't appear here, in a three-dimensional form. Yeah. This formlessness means that he has no form like ours, or that he is devoid of a form which we can perceive. In the Brahma Samhita, it is further said that the Lord can do anything and everything with any one of the parts of his body. Yeah. Anganiyasya sakalendriya vrittimanti. That's the one song we are singing every time we have the deity greeting in any Iskcon temple. Yeah. Okay, so it is said there that with each and every one of the parts of his body, such as the hand, he can do the work of the other senses. This means that the Lord can walk with his hands, he can accept a thing by his legs, he can see by his hands and feet, and he can eat by his eyes. In the Shruti mantras, it is said that he has no hands and no legs like us, but that he has a different type of hand and leg, by which he can accept all that we offer him, and walk faster than anyone anywhere. These things are confirmed in this mantra of Śrī Īśopaniṣad by the use of words like omnipotent. Yeah. So these are descriptions in many Upanishads about the Lord's transcendental hands and eyes and so on, so that this concept can be driven home in our consciousness. So when we have that conception, then there is no problem that we can practice all our devotional service inside, our mind, or rather our heart actually. When it's inside our heart, it means it's practiced with love and emotion for the Lord. When it's in the mind, it's more like a dry practice. So I have a story about that actually. There was one time, there has been, a lot of preaching efforts in Iskcon movement, right? To sell the books of Srila Prabhupada on the streets, for example. And, in some countries, at least back in the day, it was even illegal. You heard about that it was not even legal in some countries to sell the books of Prabhupada, to people in the street, right?
Yeah, in Portugal in 1975, the first devotees who start chanting, they were arrested.
Exactly.
And they were, yeah.
So they were simply arrested. So thank you for mentioning that, because that was exactly what I was going to say. So one time, the devotees who tried to be on the street preaching, they were arrested and they were put in the jail. And, it was on a Saturday, and next day it was, the Sunday, which on every Iskcon temple there is something called a Sunday feast, where, we have the nice kirtan, we have, lecture, and then there is, again kirtan, and then there is prasadam. So the devotees were, now stuck in the jail, and they were waiting for, the temple to try and release them, by contacting, the temple would contact the police and try and make some, negotiations. But such things take a little time, so they were overnighting in the jail. And the Sunday was there, and still, they were stuck. So the devotees, they understood, what should we do? We would really like to be on the Sunday feast. Let's just, emulate that Sunday feast in our minds. So they did that. They started, having, the kirtan inside their heads. And they gave, different delegation. You will play the mridanga, you will play the kartals, I will sing, right? And they just did it internally, everything, right? And then, who will give the class? Somebody else, but they were not allowed to, speak or do much. Well, actually, one of them had the class, but just whispering, And then, they also had the prasadam. Who will cook the prasadam? They also did that in the mind. Isn't it wonderful? One was making, pakoras, another one was making, chutney, another one was making sabji and, rice. Everything was there. And they were eating also in the mind. And they were having a great Sunday. And the guards, of the prison, they were wondering, what is going on with these devotees? They look like they have a real good time. They're smiling and laughing and they're happy. But, they're actually doing nothing. And we who are the guards of the prison, we are actually not as happy as them. We are outside, we are free. So they were scratching their head.
Amazing.
Isn't that an amazing story? It's apparently a true story. I wouldn't wonder if it's a true story, because we can imagine doing the same ourselves, right? It's not that difficult, really. Especially if you're stuck, of course, then you are actually, usually, when you're stuck in a situation, you don't have so much, gadgets at your hands. Then you have to be creative, and then you actually usually go more internal. So that's why I said people are growing actually when they're put in difficult situations. They become stronger, as a person internally, because one is actually forced then. So anyway, so that just proves, that you can actually serve the Lord completely internally, and that is actually non-different from serving the Lord externally. However, because our senses are really made of the mode of passion, they are demanding sense gratification. Prabhupada said at one place, they demand. They don't give any compromise. We have to gratify our senses at least to a minimum degree. And that's why we have to, have something nice to eat. We need to have nice music. We need to hear and taste something nice. We need to have nice, relationship and all this. And then we're doing that, dovetailed with the devotional service. So we make nice food, we offer it to Krishna, we have nice music for Krishna. All these things as offerings to the Lord. And that is called, yukta vairagya, or using everything, for the service of the Lord. Previously, we have also even called that tantra, because it's called Vaishnava tantra, to use material things for the spiritual purpose. Yeah? Does it make sense?
Yes.
So let's read on. The Lord's Shri Vigraha, his worshipable form, which is installed in the temples by authorized acharyas who have realized the Lord in terms of mantra 7, which we just read before, is also non-different from the original form of the Lord. The original form of the Lord is that of Shri Krishna. Shri Krishna expands himself by an unlimited number of forms like Baladev, Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha, etc. And all of these are one and the same personality of Godhead. Similarly, the Archa Vigraha, which is worshipped in the temples, is also an expanded form of the Lord. By worshipping the Archa Vigraha of the Lord, one can at once approach the Lord, who accepts the service of the devotee by his omnipotent energy without any reproach. What's the meaning of reproach? I ask because I don't know. Anyway, if any of you have time, you can find out. Or otherwise, we can just guess the meaning. I guess it means... I guess it means that the Lord is not stopping anybody to do it. Yeah. The Vigraha...
Can you repeat, Prabhuji? There was someone at the door, so I could not hear.
Okay. I'll read the paragraph again, yeah? Okay. Similar...
So you don't have to read everything again, but just give me the what you are discussing about.
Yeah, I was asking what is the meaning of the word reproach? Because Prabhupada says... Okay. That the Lord accepts the service of the devotee by his omnipotent energy without any reproach. So I was wondering, what is the meaning of that word?
I think without any resistance.
Yeah, that's also what I thought. Let's guess that's the meaning. That would make sense to the sentence. So the Vigraha of the Lord descends by request of the Acharyas, the holy teachers, and works exactly in the original way by his omnipotent energy. Now this needs to be explained. First of all, what is a Vigraha? Prabhupada says it's an Archa Vigraha. Vigraha, as we learned before, it means a form, or a body even. So Archa Vigraha, Archa means worship, so it's a worshipful form. So that means the deity form of the Lord, as we will see in the temples, is also sometimes called Murti. Yeah. So serving the Archa Vigraha is also sometimes called Murti Seva. We're doing service to the form of the Lord, which is now in a three-dimensional state, right in front of us. Okay, here we get from Michaela the definition of reproach. Express to someone one's disapproval or disappointment in their actions. Oh, so it was actually meaning that the Lord is actually, not disapproving if we try to serve Him. Yeah, that was very nice. Thank you. Okay, so back to the consideration of Vigraha. So Vigraha means the three-dimensional form in this sense. As the Archa Vigraha, it's three-dimensional and we can see it with our eyes. We can touch it with our hands. So in that way, the service to the deity involves to touch the deity, to bathe the deity. We can even massage the deity with oil. That's usual also in the temples. And then also dress the deity with clothes. And of course, cook for the deity and serve the deity foodstuffs. Yep. So in that way, we can do Murti Seva or service to the Lord in the form of Archa Vigraha. So this is a facility given by God, although He is unlimited and beyond our senses. He is giving us this position as personal servant by expanding Himself in the form of the deity. So it said this is for neophytes so that we can actually make progress. And that's actually the mercy of the Lord to have this whole system. It's made by Krishna. Does it make sense to us? And it said he does that by this request of the acharyas. So it said that there is a procedure for serving the form of the Lord. Like if one wants to do it according to protocol in the temple, then there is a protocol called Prana Pratishta, where one is chanting mantras and doing a few different rituals to summon the Lord to come into the deity form actually. To appear there, yeah. So that is, by the request of the devotee that the Lord will then agree to appear inside that form and then can be served. So this is very mystical, and that is called deity installation. It can also be done in one's private home. However, it is required that one do proper service to the deity once it is installed like that. Okay, let's go on. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord regrets the fallen condition of men with little knowledge, who regard the body of the Lord as material because it descends like a man into this world. Such poorly informed persons do not know the omnipotence of the Lord. To the mental speculators, therefore, the Lord does not manifest Himself in fullness. He can be appreciated only in proportion to one's surrender to Him. And the fallen condition of the living entities is due to entirely to forgetfulness of our relationship with God. Any comments or questions? Okay, so we'll go on. In this mantra, as well as in many others in the Vedas, it is clearly mentioned from time immemorial the Lord is supplying. Yeah. So the supplying of the Lord, it is...
How come?
Huh?
I know the word supplying, but I don't understand.
It means, I want bread, and the Lord is giving me bread. Yeah?
Okay.
That means supplying. Yeah. It means that there is a demand, and there is supply. It's connected with the word demand. Yeah. So supply is connected to that. So that means somebody has asked for something, then there is the supply that somebody is giving. Otherwise, this word is not really used. Yeah. So it means that I have a desire. I have a desire, and the Lord will give me that desire. He will fulfill it in one way or the other. Of course, He usually does it indirectly.
So if we don't desire, then the Lord doesn't give us.
He doesn't need to supply if we don't have any desire, right? However, we cannot kill our desire. So in that way, we may have a spiritual desire, and then the Lord will supply spiritually what we like to have. Yes, what did you say, Michaela?
Sometimes we can desire things that not make sense for us, and perhaps God's change. No, this is wrong what you are desiring. I don't know.
Yes, it's true. So that means the desire will be of the lower qualities. It will be in the mode of passion or ignorance, and the Lord may supply that because that's what He does in the material world. He's supplying everything, by his function as Paramatma. Yeah, just so we have that clear. It's not that Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan may supply. He's busy there, having relationship with his devotees, right? He has expanded himself in the material world through Baladev. His brother has come here to help us. And he expands further on as Paramatma in our hearts. And through that Paramatma, he's giving us anything we want in the material world. Say, for example, I want something, and then, through another person, I will get that. That's Paramatma acting in the heart of another person to help me to get what I like to have, right? But that will be according to my karma. If my karma is not so high, then I have to work to get it. Yeah, I may have to work for a long time, maybe even many lives, to get my desire fulfilled. And again, the Paramatma will supply, bodies, one body after another, so that finally I can get, my desire fulfilled. Does it make sense?
You get tired so many bodies.
Yes, we get tired of that.
Okay.
So, one body after other. But the Lord has an enormously intelligent installment, and that is called forgetfulness. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good, yeah. So we forget about our previous life. We forget, that we wanted a pink flying balloon in our previous life. And again, in this life, we again have the same desire. It just pops up. We want a pink flying balloon. And the Lord will give us again. Yeah. So the desires are actually continuing from one life to the next. Because the subtle body, just a little metaphysics, our gross body is disappearing, that we know, right? The gross body, when we are, leaving our body, then the gross body is just lying there, it's not moving, right?
Yep.
The gross body is made of the gross material energy, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. It just goes, each element is just going back to its source. However, the subtle body, so fasten your seatbelts, the subtle body is not dying, okay? It's continuing to exist. So it's just traveling out. And who is guiding it? Who is guiding the subtle body to the next gross body? Well, that is the Paramatma. So all these stories, some people had near-death experience. They're in the tunnel and they have a light. They have a guiding light which is flying in front of them. And they just follow the light. So that light in front of them is the super soul. In that way, and actually it said that the jiva is connected to that super soul through sutra atma, through like a string, even.
But how do we
know
Guruji, in life initial stage also, but we think, oh, now I'm very close, and
Yeah, we may think so many things, and that is changing according to our intelligence. Huh?
Is that important to know?
Well, it's important to have knowledge, because otherwise we will be in...
Sorry, where you are, like each stage, if you come...
Yeah, but just a little caveat to that, because, it's important to know which stage you're on, but actually, very often we don't know, or we cannot know, really, always where we are, right? But it would be good if we could. But we may not always know. So then we are acting out of what we already know from before. Right? So that's why we have, we just have our duty. According, we have a job, for example. So we may have some idea now by practicing spiritual life that actually, we belong in the spiritual world. Does that mean now we should scrap our job and just go on the street chanting Hare Krishna 24/7? No, we may not be ready for that. Although we have the knowledge, we don't have realized the knowledge. And even our Guru Maharaj, he will tell us, just continue doing that job. Because seva is more important. Service to the Lord is actually the most important. It's more important than getting liberated from the material world even. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I don't, demand to even be liberated from the material world. I just want to do service. Actually, it's said that the concept of liberation, it's actually, it can be an obstruction to bhakti. So this thing that I need to know this, that's called, can also be called jnana yoga, that we want to have all the realization, we want to have all knowledge. But if that in itself becomes a goal, then that may actually, block our development of bhakti. So in that way, if you serve, a devotee, if you have contact with a devotee, and we serve, Krishna under that devotee's guidance, we may just continue doing that, and gradually we will have all the necessary realization in our heart, and also we will study externally also and get realization, rather than abruptly trying to want to have some higher knowledge here and now. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes devotees have gotten this concept that they just want to have, the biggest knowledge immediately, and no, we're not getting immediately. We may not get that. That may also be a little bit more the passion to want to have everything now. It's a gradual process of maturity. Just like, a young person is a young person. The young person can really emulate to be, a 70-year-old person, right? Even he may have learned so much, but he's still a young person. And that's just how life is. So if we are young in spiritual life, we are young in spiritual life, and that's not going to change very quickly, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's not going to change. We just have to be content with that and be happy. It's just like family life. If we are the young person in the family, we can be happy to be the young person. We are taken care of by the elders, right? The elder person are looking after us. So that's how it should be in our spiritual group also. Either it be Iskcon or any spiritual group. An atmosphere of family love and trust and care. That those who are new in the family, in the spiritual practice, they are taken care of by the elder, and there is no room for feeling bad about that position or being put down because of that. Because we are what we are, we just have to take step by step. Like nobody puts down a young person for being young, because what can a young person do? The young person can just continue to grow and learn. Yeah. And everybody is doing a great contribution when they're trying to do their best. So in that way, everything is on the same level of value, because it's not actually about the knowledge. It's about the bhava or the feeling or of the attitude of love. That's all it is about. Just like in the family, is the biggest thing in the family who has the most realization? No, right? It's not about that. In a family unit, who cares if one has more realization than the other, right? It's not about that. It's about having a nice relationships. So that's the spiritual world. Okay, so where are we now? I lost where we are. Can anybody continue reading? You can continue reading. See, was the Prabhu there still? Tushar, you like to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I can
Hare
read.
Krishna.
Where was we, Prabhuji?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Okay.
In the Brahma Samhita, there is a similar description of the body and the Supreme Lord. Oh, this we have read, yeah.
Yeah, that we have read. We read about the Lord's Vigraha, we read about that. Similar to Archi Vigraha, that we also read. Foolish people, that we didn't read. You can start about foolish people.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Foolish people who have no knowledge of these mantras of Śrī Īśopaniṣad or of any other Shruti mantras, consider that the Śrī Vigraha, who is worshipped by the pure devotees, is made of material elements. To the imperfect eyes of the foolish people, or to the Kanishta, Adhikaris, this form is considered material, but such people with little knowledge do not know that the Lord, being omnipotent and omniscient, can transform matter into spirit and spirit into matter as he desires.
Super, you can read on.
In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord regrets the fallen condition of man with little knowledge, who regards the body of the Lord as material because he descends like a man into this world. Such poorly informed persons do not know the omnipotence of the Lord. To the mental speculators, therefore, the Lord does not manifest himself in fullness. He can be appreciated only in proportion to one's surrender to him. And the fallen condition of the living entities is due entirely to forgetfulness of our relationship with God.
Super, and then you can take the last paragraph also.
In this mantra, as well as in many other In this mantra, as well as in many others in the Vedas, it is clearly mentioned, from time immemorial, the Lord is supplying the living being first of all desires, and then the Lord supplies the object of desire in proportion to the degree of qualification. If a man wants to be a high court judge, he must not only have acquired the necessary qualifications, but he must also depend upon the disposition of the authority concerned, who can award the title of high court judge. Simple acquisition of the qualifications of a high court judge is not sufficient in
order.
In order to occupy the post. This must be awarded by some superior authority. Similarly, the Lord awards enjoyment to the living being in proportion to his qualifications. In other words, by the law of karma. Those qualifications, however, are not sufficient without the mercy of the Lord.
Yeah. So I hope that made sense. See if we go back a little and look. Yeah. So the Lord is supplying from time immemorial. Yeah. Yeah. So even we have high qualifications, but we need to, we need to have the mercy, of our superiors to actually, be able to occupy, whatever post we want. Yeah. So it's also said in another place that the Lord He awards, the devotees according to their attitude also, not only, according to what they do. Yeah. So I can read on. Ordinarily, the living being does not know what to ask for from the Lord, or what post to qualify himself for. When the living being knows his constitutional position, however, he asks to be accepted into the transcendental association of the Lord in order to render transcendental loving service unto him. Instead of asking for this, the living being under the influence of material nature asks for many other things, and his mentality is described in the Bhagavad as divided or splayed intelligence. Spiritual intelligence is one, but the opposite number is of many varieties. It's called Bahushaka. Yeah. It's like on a tree with many branches. Yeah. So it's called many-branched intelligence. Bahushaka Anantascha Buddhaya Vyavasayanam. And that's the intelligence of one who is not really fixed on the Lord. That's why we are advised to have Ekagra consciousness. Ikeya Kurunanda. We should just focus on Krishna, and that will, help stabilize our intelligence. Does it make sense? If we have too much things, in our intelligence, right? I mean, it's good to know many things. It's not about that, but in this sense, it means to have many different goals even at the same time. Yeah. Does it make sense? Spiritual intelligence would be to have one main goal, and that is Krishna, and then, use one intelligence in whatever one do to further that goal. Yeah, so Prabhupada says here, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that persons who are captivated by the temporary beauties of the external energy forget their real aim of life, which is to go back to Godhead. Yeah. Natevedu svartagatimi vishnum durasheye bhair artamanina. Forgetting this, one tries to adjust things by various plans and programs, which are compared with the process of chewing already chewed refuse. So he's referring to the verse which says, Punapunas charvita charvananam. Yeah. But the Lord is so kind that he allows the forgetful living being to do so without interfering in his activities. If a living being wants to go to hell, the Lord allows him to do so without interference. And if he wants to go back home, back to Godhead, the Lord also helps him to do that. Yeah. But otherwise, in the Bhagavatam, it is described that this path is actually It's like falling into a ditch. One being led by a blind man to also fall into a ditch which the blind man is falling into because he cannot see. Yeah, so the Guru is then called, the one who gives us the eyes to see. And in that way, we should hopefully be saved from the trap, of going in the wrong direction and falling down, in the ditch. Yeah, does it make sense? And that means, the intelligence has to be controlled and focused on what is actually important. And it said that service to Krishna is what is actually important, because that's the natural constitution of the living entity is to be Krishna's servant. Yeah. So next paragraph, God is described here as Paribhuhu, the greatest of all. No one is greater than or equal to him. All the living beings are described here as beggars who ask from the Lord, and the Lord supplies their desirables. If other entities were equal to the Lord in potency, or if they were omnipotent or omniscient, there would be no question of begging from the Lord, even for so-called liberation. The real liberation of the living being is to go back to Godhead. Otherwise, liberation as conceived by the impersonalists remains a myth, and the begging business for sense gratification has to continue eternally, unless the beggar comes to his senses and realizes his constitutional position. Does that make sense? That, it will not be any end to this. Life after life, we will beg for having some enjoyment. Sometimes we're happy and fulfilled. Other times we're frustrated. We cannot be fulfilled all the time, because that's not possible in the material world. There's always going to be a downside sometimes. Yeah. But if we come to our senses and realize this, that it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag to be here. Yeah. Mixed bag means, there's both good and bad in this bag. Not only good, not only bad also, but it's mixed. It's called Mishra. But in the spiritual world is Eka. It's just one. Everything there is good. It's transcendental. And why is it good? Because we're talking about the goodness of Krishna himself. He's enjoying. And we just are part of that. We're tuning into that enjoyment. In that way we also enjoy. We don't create the enjoyment ourselves. In that sense. It's already there from Krishna's side. We just take part in that. So next paragraph, the Supreme Lord is self-sufficient. When Lord Krishna appeared on earth 5,000 years ago, he displayed the full manifestation of Godhead by his various activities. In his childhood, he killed many powerful demons. And there was no question of acquiring such power by any extraneous endeavor. So he didn't go to the gym to become a muscular. Yeah. He already had the power. Yeah. He lifted Govardhan Hill without any practice of weightlifting. Actually, Prabhupada said that. I didn't read that before, actually. That was amazing, yeah. He danced with the gopis without any social restriction and without any reproach. Although the gopis approached him with feelings of amorous love, the mixing of the gopis and Lord Krishna has been worshipped even by Lord Chaitanya. So the reason why Prabhupada says even by Lord Chaitanya is because Lord Chaitanya, he played the role of a sannyasi. And as we know, sannyasis are very strict when it comes to mixing with women. It was said that Lord Chaitanya, he kept, women at a great distance. But he still approved of Krishna not keeping very much distance to the gopis. Because actually that's the highest platform of love, which Krishna exhibited with the gopis. Which from the material point of view would be viewed as immoral. But since Krishna is actually the Lord of the Gopis, it's not just something he takes the role of being, but he is actually that. That's why it's not sinful. So Prabhupada goes on to write, been worshipped even by Lord Chaitanya, who was a strict sannyasi and a rigid follower of disciplinary regulations. To confirm this, Śrī Īśopaniṣad says that he is antiseptic and propyolactic. That means pure and uncontaminate. He is antiseptic in the sense that even an impure thing in the estimation of the mundane world can become purified just by touching him. The word propyolactic refers to his association and is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. It is said that a scrupulous devotee may appear in the beginning to be durachara, not well behaved, yet he is still to be accepted as pure because he is on the right path. That is the propialictic nature of the Lord's association. Yeah. The Lord is apapavidam, that is, nothing like sin can touch him. Even if he may do something which appears to be sinful, such actions are all good, as there is no question of the Lord's being affected by sin. In all circumstances he is Shuddham, most purified, often compared to the sun. The sun exacts moisture from many untouchable places of the earth, and itself remains pure. In fact, it purifies obnoxious things by its sterilizing effect. If the sun is powerful, although only a material object, we can imagine the purity and strength of the all-powerful Lord. So now we're finished with Mantra 8. Thank you for being with us on this journey, and I'm sorry we went a little bit over time. We're almost 10 minutes over time. If you like, I can make a sum up also of the Mantra 8. Would you like that?
Yes, please, Prabhu.
Yeah. So the first 2 paragraphs of Mantra 8, so we'll just rewind so we can follow that here. Let's see. Yeah, so the first 2 paragraphs, they speak about, that the Lord is an unembodied akayam. So kaya means the body, just like sharira. Akaya. He doesn't have a body as we are used to. That means he doesn't have a body of flesh, blood, skeleton, and veins. So that's why it's also called asnaviram. Ashnaviram, yeah. So veins in the body. In the human body, they're used to transport, blood and nutrition. But there is no such need in the Lord's body, because he is already full in himself. Yeah. And then again in paragraph 2 and 3 and 4, we learn about the Lord's omnipotency. Let's see if you go down here. Yeah. We learn, how he's omnipotent. He is such Sachidananda Vigraha, He can accept, anything with any of his limbs. He can taste just by seeing something, right? So we learn about the Lord's omnipotency here. And then paragraph 5 and 6, we learn that he is the fulfiller of desires. Yeah. It says, Ekabahunam yuvidadhati kar, Ekabahunam yuvidadhati kaman. I don't know, Prabhupada is referring to that mantra, but Prabhupada has mentioned that mantra many times before. It's in the Upanishads, that he is the one who supplies to the many. Whatever us living entities are demanding, we will get, according to our karma, of course. But he is anyway the supplier. He is the original supplier. Yeah, and then further on, in paragraph 7, we learn that he is the supreme, Paribhuhu. Yeah, and then in paragraph 8, we learn that he is self-sufficient, Swayambhu. And again in paragraph 8, we learn that he is Shuddham, he is antiseptic, and Apapavidam, he is propialictic. Propialactic. Yeah, however I hope you understand what the word means. I still don't understand really 100% what the word means. One may have to look it up, but at least it's something like purifying. Yeah. What was mentioned there? Yeah, he's antiseptic in the sense that even an impure thing is antiseptic in that way that, an impure thing, it will even be purified by him. Yeah. And prophylactic, that's how we say it, prophylactic. Yeah, so even Prabhupada says, even somebody is not right behaved, if he is, so that's a verse from Bhagavatam, apichet sudaracharo bhajate mamananyabak. Even somebody is durachara. So achara means, the behavior. If it's a bad behavior, still, if it's ananyabak, he's without deviation, doing service to the Lord, still he should be respected to be, on the pure path. However, it's said actually that devotees who don't behave properly, they're considered to be Kanishta Adhikaris on the lowest platform, and they may be respected at a distance, and we should rather want to associate with devotees who at least is on the Madhyam platform, who knows how to behave with people, and especially we should want to associate with the Uttamadhikari, who is completely Krishna conscious. Yeah. So, but in any case, everybody who is on this path should be very much respected, and we should try and help each other. Yeah. And let's see, what was the last? Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah. And any further comments or questions?
I was just wondering, like, there are 108 Upanishads. What is written in 108? You know, one has so much.
Yeah. So Upanishads
What more is
are
left?
yeah. I read a couple of them, and they are just attacking the spiritual concept from different angles. But mainly Upanishads are there for people who wants to be renounced from the material world. Yeah. And also for yogis. There's a lot of the Upanishads which are called Yoga Upanishads. So they talk about, Ashtanga Yoga or, Kundalini Yoga, the mystic yoga. Yeah? How to practice that in detail, like in technical detail. So Upanishads are metaphysical by nature. They're all saying the same thing in that way, that they say, you are Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. It's also coming from the Upanishads. They give in the spiritual techniques, especially this thing to be detached from the material world, to realize, also, that we are part of Brahman. And in that way, we would do well to not make too much distinctions and be detached by that method. And to see, the Lord's presence everywhere can also be helped by controlling the senses. Because the senses burning with desire to enjoy, that will also, be an obstacle on spiritual realization. That's why also Upanishads are giving guidelines how to, purify, our activities with the senses. And one of the mechanistic activities is by breath control, yeah? By sitting down and controlling the breath, and also to follow yamas and niyamas, rules and regulations. For example, not stealing, not speaking lies, and not wishing anybody else, harm, ahimsa, not getting intoxicated. That includes also, regulating one's intake of food, yeah? Because intake of food is also some kind of intoxication. So that's also very central to control the senses, yeah? Control, what one takes in through the senses. So all these things are there in Upanishads.
So why does Prabhupada say, like, prasadam should be so many sweets, this, that? Why cannot be simple? Like...
Well, he gives different, directions in different circumstances. For deity worship, for worshipping the Archa Vigraha, the prasada, what is produced for giving to the deities should be opulent and very nice. And sweets are definitely part of that. Because, actually the Lord, he likes to eat sweets. Yeah. Just like we may like to eat sweets. But here in the material world, we will get, some reaction on that because, you get holes in the teeth and the sugar is not healthy, this and that. However, the Lord doesn't have such a problem. So his diet can be full of sweets, right? And he will not suffer any problem. That's why it said that you can just go and offering sweets to a deity.
The Lord, we all enjoy more than what we require, and we are like...
Yeah, so that's the test for us. Now, are we going to eat all the offerings to the Lord ourselves, or are we going to distribute them to others? So it's just that's the test. How are we going to regulate our senses? And in that way, we can do that.
But nobody says no to kheer or halwa or laddus. Everyone says yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, not everybody. Sometimes we may say no because we need to take care of our health. It depends. It's not that you're forced to accept all the prasadam offered to you. No, it's said that you can accept it in your mind. Yeah, that's actually a very important principle. You'll see that advanced people in devotional life, they may be sometimes quite restricted in what they take in. That's natural because it affects our mind. What we take in affects our mind. One thing is the consciousness of cook itself. But another thing is, the degree of sugar, for example, there is in the product that may affect the mind quite a lot. It's said that huge amount of sugar in a dish that makes that dish a rajasic dish. Yeah, it's passionate dish. Yeah. So in that way, we may become passionate by eating that, and we don't want to be too passionate, right? Because we want to be more sattvic for practicing spiritual life. To get the mind, peaceful, we need to have sattvic ahara. Yeah, sattvic ahara means to eat, food which is not too spicy, not too sweet. Like that, which is wholesome, healthy. It has to do with the lifer also. The lifer, it's easier to control the senses. If one is not.
So what should I make tomorrow, Prabhuji, which is easier to control the senses?
Well, the standard diet, Upanishadic diet, is khichdi. That's a yogic diet. Yeah, yogic diet. Yeah. So you see the magical thing about
tomorrow or something else.
What do you say?
No, I have to cook tomorrow, so I was just asking, like, what will everyone prefer having tomorrow?
No. I mean, you are cooking wonderfully. What you cooked last time was great. You can cook whatever you like, Mataji. There is no problem. You may not need to cook 10 sweets.
No, I'm not making any sweet, Prabhuji, because on Sunday you will have.
That's fine. Actually, Prabhupada gave that kind of direction. He said on Sundays and on festivals, Prabhupada said it could be very, very opulent with everything. But on normal days we may eat more kind of soberly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is connected also with our minds. As long as we are not, in a renounced or a life, we may require some sense enjoyment from time to time. But it may be, regulated by only eating Krishna Prasadam. And that also in, you can say, proper, measurements also. That was the instruction we learned actually in our first book, in Bhakti Shastri, which is the Nectar of Instruction. Prabhupada actually used some time there to explain that actually, even in the name of prasadam, we cannot just, eat very much, extravagantly. Yeah, that will not be good for our spiritual life. Yeah. But, with proper balance, there is no problem. And one can make incredibly tasty and nice foods, which may not be, harmful to our consciousness, definitely.
Yeah.
Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Could you say something about the glories of prasadam distribution?
Yeah, the glories of prasadam distribution is that then we're spreading, the mercy of the Lord to others, because prasad means mercy. So I will postulate that it's better, instead of eating 10 sweets myself, that I give 9 of the sweets to other people. Yep. We may take 1 sweet ourselves and give the 9 others to others. That would be prasadam distribution, and would help not only us in our spiritual life, but others also. Because bhakti, it actually includes sharing. That's one of the meanings actually of the bhakti word itself. It means that it's shared. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what's happening in the spiritual world. There, everybody is sharing with others.
True.
Yeah, and that's also part of the loving exchanges between devotees. Bhunkte bun jayate chaiva. That's also we learn in the Nectar of Instruction. To eat,
and the people share weapons. Now NATO is sharing weapons, and we share prasadam.
Exactly. So make love, not war, as I think they said in the hippie times. So making prasadam, not war. Yeah, prasadam is the same as love. So so even though you may say it may be some work sometimes to make something nice, but this is very good service to Krishna actually. To cook nicely for Krishna is very, very appreciated. It's said that these are the things Krishna appreciates most in his deity form. And mind you, you may just have a picture in your home, but that is also actually the deity form of Lord. It's according to our own mindset. Actually, it's said that, when we serve the deity, that's like directly we serve maybe the deity in the temple, but everybody who is in the congregation, they can meditate that they're serving the same deity from their home. And that means that they're just contributing with whatever they cook to what the Lord is already receiving when it's properly worshipped in the temple.
In the morning, whatever I'm offering, I just offer once
Yeah.
2 times it becomes difficult, but once, yeah.
This is very nice worship, and the deity is definitely accepting this, because the deity is
I
not,
hope
you know,
so.
the deity is not, you know,
I don't know.
blocked by time and space. Yeah. Yeah.
And when I drink the water which I offered to Krishna, I'm like feeling so peaceful in the morning. I don't know why, but yeah.
So then it means, you know, you are doing it correctly. Yeah. Because peace and happiness should be the result of, you know, this practice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. And any further questions and comments?
Can I take a salad tomorrow?
Take what?
Salad.
Oh, make a salad. You're more than welcome.
Oh yeah, you can make salad and I can make Thai curry and we make some rice.
Okay, perfect.
Super.
But today I ate a wonderful salad in the office, which I can tell you what was there.
Okay, then we talk in private.
Yeah, you can talk that in private there. Super. But then, if there is no further questions and comments, I may actually say goodbye for today, and we will meet again tomorrow for the next Bhakti Shastri, which will be from 2 to 4 o'clock. Yeah, as part of the Sunday program, and from 5 to 7 we have the kirtan.
Yeah. And Prabhuji, you have to find something which we can enact. Like I said, we will do some drama also.
Yeah, that's the point. Maybe we can discuss that tomorrow, that we need to make a proper, you know, drama.
Yeah.
Because soon we are finished with Śrī Īśopaniṣad, or maybe in between we can have a drama, a performance actually. That would be great.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki
Thank
jai,
you.
Śrī Īśopaniṣad ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Ja.